Hello everyone and welcome back to Games by Soul. Today we have a really special guest on, so let me introduce you to Tomislav.
I don't know how special I am, but hey, my name is Tomislav. I am an artist. I've known Saul for how many years now?
Quite a few. How many years has it been? I think it goes back to about possibly 5 years now.
Something like that, yeah. And back then I was just a little fan artist. Now I'm working in the game industry, and we two have been talking over DMs about it for a while now, and we figured why not do like an official talk about it, I guess, or something like that.
That's why we're here today. So a few weeks ago, Tom asked on his Instagram any questions to either of us, and I mean, we mainly targeted them towards Tom, but some people asked questions which we can both answer, and that's what we're going to do today. So firstly, Tom, I just want you to tell us a bit about yourself. So how long have you been drawing? And I know a lot of people ask you this, but I think it's good to have it on a video. Just how long have you actually been drawing for?
It's been as long as I've been alive, pretty much. So I think I'd like to say it started at 3 because that's what everybody has been telling me since I was like a little kid. And yeah, I've been drawing ever since and evolved into digital stuff. And yeah, so pretty much since my early childhood.
Yeah. And like you said, you were more of a fan artist. What's your current job in the industry now? Because you said you're working in the games industry.
Yes, exactly. Actually, I started as an artist. I did 2D animation and 2D character designs and all that stuff. But currently, I'm actually an art director on a mobile game project.
So what is an art director? Can you explain it simply, or is it a bit difficult to explain?
Pretty much, it's just the art direction of the game. Like, you have a specific direction you had. The project is thankfully a little bit older now. We are celebrating the 8th year now. And so we already have a direction, and my job is just to keep everything on track, just to keep the direction straight so nothing evolves in a different way, so everything is consistent, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. And yeah, just kind of overseeing the art pretty much in a way.
I guess we should probably mention, can you say who you work for and what project, or you're not really allowed to say on videos?
I think I can say that. It's Bongfish, the company, and I'm working for the Smurf Village. We acquired it from Capcom 2 years ago, and we have been going hard at it ever since.
I'll put a link below for the game if you want to see it, because I've tried it before. It's very fun. My sister's done it before as well, because she's a big fan of the Smurfs. And it's very interesting to see that your art is on the game that I've played before now.
Ideally, you wouldn't even know what my art is.
Yeah, obviously, because yours has to match their style.
Yeah, but some people are surprised because the art in the game is very different from what I do outside my work. So
yeah. If you haven't seen Tom's work, please check out all of his social media stuff, which will pop up now, hopefully. Because Tomislav is an amazing artist. On my old channel, his art was basically everywhere.
Thank you.
How did you actually get into the industry now? That's one of my other questions for you.
You might know that I was working as a graphic designer for a long while. Actually, it was like 7 years.
Yeah.
And at some point I was like thinking about changing my job or going full-time fan art. Like commissions were earning me more money than my full-time job was. So I was thinking about either doing art full-time or looking for something better in graphic design, because I wasn't quite satisfied with the jobs I was getting. And while I was looking around, my sister actually found the company I'm working for now. And I just went for it. I applied for a UI, UX, like user interface and user experience position. But the boss of the company, who's actually somewhat of a friend now, he told me I would better be suited for an art position there. And I don't know, a week later or so, I got the job. And yeah, it was kind of random. While I was looking for another job, I got the job I was actually wanting to have since I was a little kid. So
it's a great example for people, because some people just try and study a lot and then try and get a job in the industry, but you didn't even study games. You just kind of went, okay, I'm going to draw a lot of fan art, and that's basically, it's a portfolio, which we'll get into in a bit. But portfolio, would you say, is one of the most important parts about being an artist?
Yes.
If you don't know what portfolio is, it's basically just where you hold all your previous work.
It's a collection of work.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Now, next question is, what are your thoughts on the game industry as a whole? Because like in the previous weeks, Rockstar got into a bit of trouble because they had like 100-hour weeks, like some of the staffs that they'd put in, and that caused a lot of people to get angry. So what are your thoughts on the game industry? Bit of an open-ended question.
I would like to add that the 100-hour weeks are probably not only happening at Rockstar, because the industry is like crunch time is happening very often, and it happens. That's the industry. On my first day there, they told me that there will be days where I would work a lot and days where I wouldn't work that much. So I knew what I was getting into from the beginning. But the industry as a whole is very fun to work at. The people are very cool. They're all gamers. They're all nerds like you. Like, they're awesome people to work and awesome people to be around. And yeah, in the end, it's very awesome to be in it, because in the end, like you're able to go on YouTube and look at gameplays of people, and you actually see the reaction of your work. And yeah, sometimes it's not that good, sometimes it's very good. We actually also have a big forum for our game, so I'm in there every single day seeing what people are writing and interacting with people. Sometimes not that much, because that's not actually my work, but I like to tell the community staff or employees to give them my thoughts about some stuff they told us.
That's quite interesting. I didn't know you did that. So if someone like says this art needs to be changed, would you have a look at that and then tell the community staff what to reply?
I've done that, and they had some suggestions which I really wanted in the game, but I made sure to explain to them, like they explained in my name, that it wasn't actually possible. And a lot of times I have actually changed stuff because they requested it. It was taking time from my job in the end, but I just want the community to be happy in the end, so I worked an extra hour just to fix something they really didn't like.
Yeah. So overall, the industry is quite enjoyable like 99% of the time. Would you say it's enjoyable?
Yeah, it is. Like, sometimes you really like, I just recently had a 60 or 50 hour week, which is a little bit more than average, I would say. And it gets to you, like you think about, is it really worth it? But then you start thinking that it's actually a dream job, and people are out there who would do anything to be at that position. So in the end,
yeah,
I keep smiling, even though sometimes I don't feel as good working a lot. The issue with me is that after work, like after a 10-hour shift, I get home and I work another 5 to 6 hour shift. So sometimes it's not that easy, but
you can get through it because
because in the end, if I remind myself what I'm doing, then I get back to it. So it's not that of an issue.
Well, thank you for answering them. We go on to the Instagram questions now, and because I only got screenshots of the questions, it cut off a little bit, so we'll have to assume what some people said. So the first one comes from Anonymous Joker. If indie games are so popular, shouldn't AAA games follow their... So this is where it cut off, so I'm going to assume he's going to say follow their example. So what do you reckon? Should AAA games follow the indie games example?
Ideally, I think that would be the best way, but that's often not possible because most AAA games have a big publisher behind them, and big publishers are mostly about the revenue. They put a lot of money into the game, and they would like to get that money back with things that have worked in the past.
Exactly.
They're most likely not that keen about changing things completely around. Indie games are most often not on that big of a budget, or they at least don't expect a lot of money out of it, so they just do it for the fun. And yeah, there have been other examples in other games. For example, with EA, where I think the games could have been much better, but we all in the end knew that it's because of EA that the games turned out a little bit worse than what we all expected. So that happens.
Those are my words exactly. I was going to say most AAA games, they have their method which works, and not really going to change that in case it doesn't work. They lose money from that. While indie games, they're new, they're testing the waters. They can go, I'm not sure if this will work, but no one's
Yeah.
done it before, so let's just try it and see what happens.
Exactly.
It's a great question to ask. Lanika asks, how do you write code for a game? Which is quite a open-ended question.
I like from my end, I don't really write a lot of code. I rarely ever write any code because we have programmers, but I think that's a question more suited to you than me.
So to write code, you just kind of need to, first of all, choose what language you want to do and choose what you want your code to do. So for simple projects, I'd definitely recommend starting off with Python. It's a great program language. It's how I learned how I got into programming, and you can do really simple stuff with it. And also really complicated stuff depending how good you get at it. But then if you want to code games, you can either, the two best ones to use engines wise is Unreal or Unity. And and it's either C# or C++. I use C# and Unity personally because it's just really handy to use, having so much support. So to write code, just find what you want to do with the code and then choose your language. I'd say always go for something that has a lot of support out there. Something like C# is a good one to start off with, I'd say.
I would like to add that once you've learned one coding language, it's mostly much easier to get into another one because most things apply to other coding languages, especially if they're like based on another language like PHP, C#, C++. They're all on a, they're pretty much all the same, just minor differences in the syntax, I guess, or something.
Yeah, there's always similarities between each language, which is why starting off with a simple one will help you in the long run, I'd say.
Yeah.
So XJustin2210 asks, is the game dev world hell or exciting? Well, kind of just answer this one, but just as a one-word answer, hell or exciting, would you say?
I'd say it's more exciting than hell.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'd say. Smurt asks, do you get the games you develop for free? Yes. Do you?
I actually work on a free-to-play title, so yes, even though it's free, I get it for free. But I get stuff for free which is not for free. So
you get like premium money on it for free, I'm guessing.
Exactly, like the stuff you have to buy with real currency, I get to use that stuff for testing purposes and for my own sake, like just to see how it works in the game. Yeah, it wouldn't be that intuitive if I would spend money and earn it back.
Yeah.
Just to test the things out.
I mean, for my end, because I'm developing the games, I would get them for free. So, yes, you do get them for free if you develop them. Okay, that's a hard one to pronounce. Ilajas Maznik says, currently studying in art school. Can graphic design get into game? Then it cuts off again. I'm going to just take it as the game industry so we can cover development and design. So, if you're in art school, can you get into game design, would you say?
I would totally say yes.
Yeah.
I never went to any art school and I still made it. And if you did go to an art school, I think your chances are higher than mine were. So good luck to you. And yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of in the same position as you right now because that's what I want to be doing in university, is doing games. But most game companies actually just say, well, if you can do computer science, you can be a programmer. So yeah, if you go to a school that's not even game related, but has computing elements or art elements, you can definitely get into the industry quite simply.
Just use your knowledge a little bit different. And
also portfolios.
I think we two had the conversation that you wanted to study something with coding for games, but I told you you should just go into computer science, something where you learn coding, and applying that code to a game is the easiest part of it.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So even if it's not game related, like art school in general, you can still definitely get into the industry.
Exactly.
Next question, Radboy Robert asks, tips on new artists trying to draw. This one's definitely...
Keep at it, don't stop, don't get discouraged, and keep in mind that you will never be as good as you want to be. It's actually about the path, not the destination or whatever. That's something people like to say, but for art it's actually true. I still don't think I'm that good. And once you realize that, it's much easier. Just keep working the areas you're bad at, because then you will get better. It doesn't really make sense to work something you're already good at. So improve at the areas you're bad at and keep at it. Try as much as you can, but keep enjoying it. Don't force yourself. That's the best way for me. I think that's what I've been I keep telling that to everyone who asks me, and so far it seems to work. Like at least for those who actually stuck with it. Most people don't even listen to me. They think it's all magic or something. But I don't know. They don't think they can do it, so they stop because.
I guess I can kind of chip into that one and just say, because I have to do the art on my own for myself, and I'm not a talented artist. I don't really like doing art that much. It's kind of the bit I push to the end. But when you do your own art, even if you don't like it, try and see the benefits of it and see how you can improve for it next time. And then really focus on like what you think's good about your work, because that'll give you more confidence. Like for myself, I can't draw legs at all. I can't animate them. That's why I came up with a little cheaty way of drawing it, which actually ties into the next question quite well. But yeah, just think about ways, even if you can't overcome your weaknesses now, think about ways to overcome them for that moment, and then try and work on them in the future, which is what I'll probably have to do as well.
Yeah.
Great question. The Wonder Kid asks, do you ever cheat in your drawing process?
When I'm doing stuff for myself, I try to spend as much time as it's needed. But you know, in games, it's not that easy. You don't have all the time you want, and sometimes you have to cheat. We have a ton of templates in our game, so often we can reuse certain elements or animations that we can just pretty much reskin or reapply to something else. So that would probably count as cheating, but it's just a big time saver, and we mostly reuse work we've already done, just in a different way, so it saves us hours of work, and we can do something else with the time, I guess.
I mean, when I started to learn to draw, I used to trace quite a bit, which is cheating because it is just having a low opacity background and just drawing over, which is cheating. But I think it's a good way to learn when you're first starting, but then obviously do not stick to it.
There is a certain extent of education, I would say, like using the term really mildly, for tracing. It helps if you want to if you want to study a certain style of art, but in the long run you won't really learn that much, so you would have to put in the work and learn yourself.
Yeah. Another great question. So now we have monkeyd.heavy, which this is definitely a question I know you've been asked all the time. What device and app do you use?
That's definitely a question I answer. Like I answer it once every 2 months on Instagram. I just pull up a screenshot and post it. I use for work, it's a computer, Photoshop, and a Wacom tablet. Over here, I use iPad Pro sometimes for sketching. At least I like to use the iPad with Procreate mostly, and then I switch over to my computer and Clip Studio Paint, where I draw on a Wacom Cintiq. Almost said vacuum, which is something else.
Yeah, you draw on a vacuum. That's quite impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I myself just use Photoshop, and that's about it. I used to use the Wacom tablet a lot more, but I haven't found the need to use it right now, but I probably will need to start using it again. Next question is, Gabe the Waifu something. Sorry, Gabe, it cut off your name. How does the NPC AI work? Which is an interesting question to ask, because it's quite broad. So how do AI and NPCs work in your game, for example?
We don't really have that much of AI. It's like how AI in general works. It's just a lot of loops where the game tests, like the character just goes for a loop. For example, if the NPC sees the character, the player, attack. Yeah. That's probably the most basic. Otherwise, roam around a circle or whatever, like a path that is pre-laid out or something. And in our game, it's just simple pathfinding, where they walk away, like a random path, and here and there they will just see something and interact with it. Yeah. Or you could force them to interact with something by tapping on it. But our game is really basic. I don't have a big knowledge of NPC AI, but I know that it can get really complicated and really boring.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All I can add to that, which is basically the same as you, NPC AI is just non-playable characters which react to the player and the environment, which they kind of do it on their own without needing to be constantly programmed. Like for Unity, you can have you bake the environment and you put a mesh down so the player knows where it can walk, and it works the same for the NPC's AI. They know, okay, I can walk in this area, but that area is not allowed to walk into, and it will remember that and keep doing it. It's just basically how they react to you. It's a good question. It's quite hard to answer because of how wide the subject is. Basically, it just learns on its own, is how I think of AI. It just keeps on learning and reacting.
I've actually heard, because yesterday is actually the game Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, and they actually have a machine learning AI. So in an interview, the developers got asked the question of a specific NPC behavior, but they've never heard of it because the NPC learned about that on his own. So that's pretty crazy if you ask me. So
yeah, that's definitely crazy. Like, imagine
they do stuff they were never programmed.
Yeah.
To. They just learn.
Exactly. That's what this kind of stuff can lead to, especially when you're behind such a big developer such as Rockstar.
Yeah.
It can lead to such insane feats. It's amazing. Finally, Sol Kemp asks, I'm doing a game design course in uni. Come September, what could I... It kind of cut off there, which is a bit annoying. So I'm going to assume they kind of meant like, what could I do to help my chances getting a job later, something like that. So this is when I said we're going to talk about portfolios and getting experience. Also, side note, hope your course is going well because we're in October now. So what would you say about a portfolio? How important is a portfolio?
I think it's very important because I know a lot of people like to get caught up with a CV and all that kind of stuff when they are like applying. But I could definitely tell you that the employer is looking to see some actual work you've done. And all those fancy words you've put on a piece of paper doesn't really mean that lot if you can't work. If you can't do the stuff they're looking for, they won't hire you, so a portfolio is very important.
Yeah.
You have to show off your skills instead of just mentioning them somewhere. And yeah.
I mean, a portfolio is important for art and for games, because like, if you want to be a game developer, produce little games, high quality little games is what I'm trying to do now, and just have them somewhere so that way when you apply later in the future, you can be like, here's my experience, I've made this on my own, look what I can do, and now please hire me.
I've actually seen some person apply with an actual game. Like, the story of the game was him working into the game company and having a talk with the boss, and you had like one quest, and that was like convincing him to hire you, and the boss actually played through it and hired that person right away. So that's the best way.
That's the best bit about the industry, is the creativity behind a lot of stuff like that. That's an amazing... I've never heard that before, actually. Also, experience is a big thing. That's one thing you should definitely try and get. Like, I was lucky enough to get experience recently working for a company, so I can put that down. And I know you said CVs aren't the most important, but you also do need one for a job.
Yeah,
so
you need one, but make sure you show some work as well.
CV and a portfolio are the best mix I could think of.
Yeah. Experience, like, I just want to say one thing. It's not important that you get paid while you're working for such a company. You just have to have the experience. Like, it's more worth than any money.
Yeah.
And if you really want a big job or a good job in the end, you really have to have those non-paying job at the beginning. So one day you can work for a legit big company, or maybe that company who hasn't paid you a penny will actually hire you down the way. So
exactly. So
it's always good.
Yeah, exactly. So even if you're not getting paid for it, it's still experience. Experience is experience, and it's really important to get. So here's some more random questions. So, do you paint Zelko Kurum? I don't think I pronounced that name right. I don't know who it is. Do you know who it is?
It's actually Željko Kerum.
Pronounced that horribly, didn't I?
And he was the mayor of Split, a Croatian city. And I don't have any plans to paint him, nor do I think I would ever paint him, because he's just a random politician who, I don't know.
Yeah. Planning to draw Yami Yugi?
Actually, I have plans, but I don't know when.
Good choice. He's one of my favourite characters. And then finally, how are you?
Pretty fine. I had a long day, but I'm doing pretty well.
Good. I mean, these are just random questions from Instagram. I love people on Instagram. They're great.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a bonus question for you, Tom. Would you be interested in doing something like this monthly? Because I think if us two could like sit down, try and once a month and just discuss game-related topics, play games together, just do something like that every month would be quite interesting for people to see. What would you say? You can say no.
I think it's a quite interesting idea, and my schedule is pretty tight, but if I can make it, it would be pretty good.
If
I think
any of you would like more of this stuff, please show it down below. There's not many of you to show it, but hopefully there will be soon.
I will share this interview, and hopefully someone from my side will come over and help you at your journey to game development.
Hello, everyone from Tom's side. That's basically all the questions. Is there any like last remarks you'd want to make about Tom, just about the game industry, about your job, anything else that you think we forgot to mention?
I think I've mentioned pretty much everything I have to say. Just, yeah, it's pretty awesome to work in it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really, you don't really think about it that much. Like, at least I've been in it for 2 years now, and sometimes I like to forget that there are way worse jobs out there.
Yeah.
And
well, there's just actually one final question,
grateful.
which I just remembered. What is your favourite game?
Spider-Man for the PS4.
Oh, great choice.
But it's only just because I played it. It's the last game I played, so
Yeah. That is a great choice of a game.
it is.
That's probably the game of the year for 2018, I'd say. Or Red Dead 2.
Redemption.
Red Dead 2. So yeah,
Looking forward.
say your favourite game down below. I'm personally going to go with Spider-Man is definitely up there, but Stardew Valley is actually one of those games which I can always just go back to and play, so that's definitely going to be one of my favourite games.
It's a great game, but I've never played it, so I won't mention it in my top. But I know it's good. I know people have been playing it for years, and there's definitely some value in it if it's that playable.
Yeah, it's definitely playable.
I know some games are really great for playing once, but once you're done with them,
Oh yeah,
you don't want to get back to it.
there's a lot of games which you can play for a few hours and then you get tired of it and you don't play it again because you get a bit sick of it. But yeah. I think that's our interview complete, which is actually quite surprising. I didn't think we were going to be able to get it done in the end. But thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks, it was a pleasure to be here, to talk to you. It's been a while, so
Yeah, if you want to see more of Tomislav and I, please make sure you tell us down below or on Twitter or message Tom. He likes to be messaged a lot. And tell him.
everyone who tweets at me will get a tweet back. That's been my promise forever, and it's still true, so
If anyone who retweets this video will get a tweet back from the both of us. That's a better promise.
I hope I don't miss anything, but if my name's tagged in there, I will see it and I will tweet back at it.
Well then, thank you everyone for joining us, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.